What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Holy Hustle. My name's Jalen.
And my name's Zach. Here at the Holy Hustle, our goal is to provide real life examples, our experiences, and provide practical steps to help you become a true disciple of Jesus in our world today.
And just to do life together. So without further ado, make sure you guys hit the follow button, the like button, the subscribe button, and you come back every week for a new episode. Let's get right into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Holy Hustle. This is episode 2 with my boy Zach. Zach, how we doing?
Man, I'm good, bro. How about you?
Good, bro.
What's the week been like?
Slow week, very slow week, just like last week. Every week's a slow week for me right now because, with social media and everything, if you're not doing any brand deals or traveling, then you're not doing anything.
Yeah,
so
it's quiet.
It's very quiet. How about you?
Kind of the opposite, actually. Work's been pretty busy. Church life's been busy. Wife, got our puppy. But all life's full of good stuff.
Right.
So it's been nice. Yeah.
Always nice when life's full of good stuff.
Yeah, especially when you can finally boil down to the things that matter and start doing the things that matter. You just feel like
We're already preaching.
Yeah.
What you got, bro?
Well, I think we came in this room to have a good conversation about friendship and
yeah.
So
Today's main topic we're going to be talking about is community and friendship. And what that means to us really is, surrounding yourself with other believers and surrounding yourself with people who are going to help you become a better person. And what we hope to accomplish today is really just to bring our perspective on what that looks like. And also, talk a few sports. We're going to talk about LeBron breaking the all-time NBA scoring record, and also the trade deadline. So this episode will drop about a week after the trade deadline, so you guys will see it then. But we're going to talk about it and touch on that a little bit. So we talk sports first?
Yeah, man, let's get into it.
Yeah.
It's been a big day.
It has, bro.
How do you feel about so we're both Laker fans. We're both big LeBron fans.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Russ getting traded?
Honestly, so I was watching the game that LeBron broke the record. Obviously, if you weren't watching that, you're not a basketball fan. And, dude, I just felt like Russ, and one of my friends described it perfectly. Russ is still a great player. He was like one of my favorite players ever when he first blew up on the Thunder. Just so explosive, such a great athlete. Anyway, with that being said, I feel like he plays so good sometimes, and then he'll throw it all away the next play.
Yeah.
Like, he'll make one really, really good play, and then the next play, he just literally throws the ball away. Like, he turns the ball over more than anybody I've ever seen. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And same thing, bro. Like, watching those highlights, him and KD back in the day, takes you back, and I used to just, dream of the day him and LeBron get a chance to play, and then I see it, and I'm like, never mind. You be careful what you wish for, because you get it, and it might not be as sweet as you thought it would be.
And I think the reason they don't mesh well together is because they're both kind of similar. They both are very, especially LeBron. LeBron's a lot more pass heavy than people think.
Yeah.
But I think they both have the same or similar play styles, and so they don't mix very well.
Yeah. It's like a duplicate of efforts. You don't need the same thing.
Yeah.
Twice. And they're boys too, they're good friends.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll remain friends after this, and that's got to be tough being in a business where one day you play together, you're close, and the next day you live in Utah. From LA to Utah? I mean, never been. Actually, Utah's got some beautiful places.
I've never been. Yeah. But I've heard that it's beautiful. All-Star Break is there actually.
Yeah. Oh, is it really?
Yeah, and Post Malone is the host.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be sick.
That's good then, yeah.
Yeah.
They said he might get bought out, so
really?
He might end up somewhere else, yeah. He might end up with the Clippers. I guess by the time this episode drops, we'll know.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else? Okay, so the Lakers got D'Angelo Russell.
Kyrie got traded to the Mavs.
Kyrie to the Mavs, and he played in his first game last night. Again, this is ahead or delayed, so this happened a while ago. But, yeah, Kyrie played his first game for the Mavs last night and actually played really well.
Yeah, he was hooping.
When Luka comes back, they're going to be scary.
They're going to be scary. But the West is tough. KD to the Suns.
Yeah.
I mean, you got LeBron and AD with the Lakers. I know the Lakers are back behind, and I'm probably thinking way too optimistic, but the West is tough. You got Steph. I mean,
Steph's still out. Luka's out. But to that extent, when they come back, it's scary.
Yeah, the league's gonna be.
It's scary.
The league's in the best place it's been in a while, I'd say. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the super team era, and I think that even the Suns, you got a super team out there.
Oh, yeah.
But teams like the Celtics, they drafted everybody they built those guys up for years, and they've done a good job. So it's gonna be good. And then Super Bowl, obviously, like
Yeah, Super Bowl will be over by the time this episode drops. But
dude, do you have your picks yet?
no, no, I don't, bro. I don't know what the score is gonna be. I really don't.
No idea.
No. What did you say yours was?
I think I said 34-27 or 34-31.
I'm gonna say 35-27 Chiefs.
Okay, 8-point win. I like it.
35-27.
Yeah.
Or 35. Actually, scratch that. 35-28.
35-28.
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be many field goals.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I feel that. Yeah. Two good teams. They match up well. I'm excited. What are you doing for the Super Bowl? You got plans?
I think I'm going to my financial advisors again.
Oh yeah.
My friend's girlfriend's uncle,
Yeah.
who's also my financial advisor.
Awesome.
He's got a huge house. We always go over there for the big games and whatnot. It's a fun time.
Nice. Yeah. Dude, I'm bummed. Wife and I are going on a cruise this next week, and we booked it months ago. We were just excited. First trip that we've taken since we got married, and I booked the flights for 8:30 p.m. on Super Bowl Sunday, bro.
No.
Yes. Yeah. So
You might miss the end of the game.
Oh, I am going to miss the end of the game, so I'm gonna get the flight Wi-Fi. I'm gonna splurge.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Why is that such a flex?
I don't know.
Why is that? Hey, that is such a flex. If you can buy airplane Wi-Fi, you're like, all right,
Yeah, $9. I'm like,
I'm stepping up in the world.
yeah, take my car.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, that's dope. That'll be fun. I have never been on a cruise. I'll never go on a cruise.
What?
No, dude. No, I don't like the water. I can't stand the water, actually. I know how to swim.
Oh.
I love to swim, actually.
Cap.
I swear. You know how, hey, here's how you can tell I'm telling the truth. For my birthday, like 4 years in a row, we rented out a pool
Okay.
for like 4 straight years.
As a kid?
Yes.
No, as an adult.
Yeah, the last 4 years. 24, 23, 22, and 21.
That's hilarious.
That's funny. But what else is going on in sports? I can't. Trade deadline obviously is huge. LeBron breaking the record, also huge. Super Bowl, like we were talking about. Other than that, there's no other sports really going on right now.
Yeah.
Basketball, college basketball, KU, in a huge conference battle right now in the Big 12. Big 12 is
Tight.
very.
Yeah.
We beat TCU. We beat Texas. I say we as in KU.
I'm a K-State fan.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I moved to Kansas, and everyone I was around was K-State fan. You just kind of become the people who you're around. And
This whole time I thought he was a KU fan. Wow.
nope.
Now I'm gonna punch him in the face. What friends we are, right? We're talking about community friends. I don't like them anymore.
Yeah. Just kill the podcast.
Yeah,
now.
just end the podcast.
No, yeah, it's tight. It's gonna be tight. I feel like whoever comes out of the Big 12 like on top
Well, probably. I think they're gonna win
yeah,
the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too tight out there. Some of those teams up on the top 5, like they're in small conferences or they're not playing the competition in the Big 12. So we'll see. But
Dude.
March Madness is close, and that's an exciting time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's crazy is a lot of the powerhouse schools in basketball, like the normal powerhouse schools, are not good this year. Duke is not good. North Carolina is not good. Kentucky is not good. Purdue is good. Like what?
Applause to KU coming off a chip.
Yeah.
And still
playing well.
I
Yeah.
would call them a top 5 in the country team. You know, they got some losses to good teams, but yeah.
But again, that's the Big 12.
Yeah.
All of them are
All
good.
of them. I mean, even at the bottom, Iowa State beat up on somebody. No,
Iowa State beat KU.
Yeah, beat up on KU, right? Yeah.
By like, I want to say it was like 18.
Yeah, something like that.
So
Yeah.
crazy. Well, I think that's enough on sports.
Yeah.
We talk enough about sports on our free time anyway.
We
so
could talk all day about sports.
yeah. But community, dude, we don't really have a segue to it, but we're just going to start talking about it. And so let me pull up my notes just so I can go on track with you. Zach, go ahead. You can start us off if you'd like.
So this week, I reached out to, or one of my friends reached out to me from Wichita. I grew up in the Wichita area there for a while after I moved here from Seattle. And good dude. I mean, we've been friends since 6th grade. We were always like you know that friend you have in school when you like compete, like, oh, I'm the fastest kid in the school, and like basketball, football, whatever it was. We were always like real tight. he was one of the grooms in my wedding next to you. And we just competed for a long time. But anyway, he hit me up and was like, hey, man, I'm in town for a conference in Kansas City. He's like, you want to grab some dinner? I'm like, yeah, for sure. And I just thought we were going to catch up a little bit. Haven't seen him since the wedding. But it turned into a really deep conversation about just like life in general. You know, we're both men of faith, men chasing after God, seeking God. We haven't exactly arrived yet, but you know, he was one of those people who, when I got to college, him and I were roommates together actually through college. And he was like, hey, man, I met this guy at work who leads a Bible study. Do you want to come and just like start checking it out? I'm like, yeah, for sure. So he would wake me up at like 5:30. We'd go to this Bible study. This guy taught us a lot. At that time in my life, it was like perfect because I was not on the right path. I was not doing the things that I should have been doing. And it just kind of like pulled me in. So I then, you know, come to a intersection of my life where I've got like one group of friends and then another group of friends. One group of friends is doing one type of thing, another group of friends is doing another type of thing.
Right.
And it made me notice that, kind of said it earlier, actually, you start to become the people that you surround yourself with. And, you know, to kind of segue from episode 1, we talk about, I'm a believer, you know, now what? We really believe that your community is one of the most, if not the most important part of your relationship with Christ and like growing as a man, woman of Christ. But yeah, so start hanging out with him more, start going to the Bible study, start noticing the fruits of the life of one group of friends versus the other. And I thank God, God grabbed onto me and started pulling me in the right direction. Not perfect by any means. I even had a bunch of road speed bumps since then, but yeah, you just start to become who you surround yourself with.
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy. I had no idea Zach was going to tell me that story. And I have here in my notes kind of part of like my testimony and what happened with when I started to realize what you have to do in order to, you know, become a firm believer in Christ and surrounding yourself with a good community. In college, in football, we had FCA, which is Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Yeah, bro. And so what happened was, and this is part of my testimony, but I posted a verse on my Instagram, and a couple of guys from the football team who were the leaders in FCA, they were like, oh, we didn't know you were a believer. And I was like, sure. And I was just like, yeah, dude, like, I believe in God. I haven't been to church in, you know, however long. And they're like, well, you should come to Bible study on Wednesday nights. And so I was like, I don't know about that. Yeah. And so I basically just blew him off. But my guy, D'Angelo, if you ever hear this, props to you, bro, because he asked me every day for like 3 weeks, bro. You come to FCA? You come to FCA? And I was like, yeah, man, I'll be there. Never showed up. So then finally, my boy Reese told me, he was like, yo, just come. And like Reese was like one of those friends where you could trust. Like he's one of your friends where
he's got your back.
He's got my back, and he was somebody I looked up to. So if he told me like, yo, come to something, I'd be like, all right, I'm there.
Yeah.
So he told me to come, and I was like, all right. So I show up, and I'll never forget it, dude. The first like couple weeks or so, I was just kind of like learning what it meant to be a follower of Christ. And then we watched the video. It was called Evolution vs. God by Ray Comfort, if you know who that is. Yeah. And basically he like debunks that evolution, like what's that called? Macro evolution is proven. It's also blind faith, just as believing in God is. And so I watched that video and I was like, how can somebody not believe in God? And so if it wasn't for those guys continuing to harp on me like, yo, come to FCA, come to FCA, come to FCA, I would have never had the opportunity to be like, all right, I believe, like this is it right here. What do I need to do next? And then for the next like couple of years or so, it was a matter of, okay, I'm becoming a follower of Christ, but what's next? I'm still hungry. I need to keep going. And then eventually that was when I got baptized and whatnot. But if it wasn't for those guys who continue to get on me like, bro, come to FCA, and surrounding myself with other believers, I would have never had the opportunity to give my life to Christ.
That's huge. Yeah. Shout out to anybody who's ever brought someone into an organization like that. That's you got a special place in heaven, honestly, I feel. And it's crazy to see you start spending your time with different people,
right?
And you start to dress like them. You know, like, you know, you look at your close friends, you notice, you know, we wear similar things, we have similar interests, we eat similar foods, we have similar hobbies. You start to just like symbiotically become the people that you surround yourself with. So, you know, when those type of guys reach out to you and bring you into their circle, which is a sacred thing to do, it's a tough thing to mess with the continuity that the group has.
Yeah.
But they bring someone else in, and then that helps grow another believer.
Yeah.
Share the word, helps change generations and generations to come.
Yeah.
And it's really dope. I mean, I think this is episode 2, but this is part 1 of the topic of community. So
Right.
what we're trying to do to structure all these discussions is say like community part 1, relationships part 1, money part 1. That way you can go back and refer to the episodes.
And then when we do part 2, you guys
Yeah.
can pair 2 and 2 together and say, okay, this is what I need to do in order to grow a community around me, or
Yeah.
grow my relationship, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, next steps type stuff for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, some of the questions that I just came to my mind when I started following Christ were questions like, how do I know if I need new friends? More on what it looks like to have a close friend. Like, what does that even look like? The benefits of having good friends. Why should I change my friend group if I feel good about the group
That's
that I
good.
have now? And a lot more. But like I said, today we're just starting with super high level. Like, what does it mean to be in a circle? So
Yeah.
I guess let me start. You mind if I ask the first
Yeah,
question?
go for it.
So, what is your definition of a person, part of your inner circle, and how has that changed since your walk with Jesus?
The definition of a person within my inner circle, right?
Because you got friends. In the inner
Right.
circle.
You've got friends and then you've got an inner circle. What's crazy before I answer this too is I think your inner circle can be all sorts of different people. When I say that, I mean, I have my inner circle from my friends from church, and I have my inner circle from friends in life, that I've met or that I've known for years. Zach would be somebody that I would say is a person in my circle, a friend in my circle. Somebody else I would say is a friend in my circle is one of my old teammates from college who I lived with when I moved to Kansas City.
Okay.
He's somebody that like I talk to every day and hang out with on the weekends. That's somebody else who's in my circle. And then obviously like a couple other people. But what defines that, in my opinion, having a circle or somebody who can fit in a circle, I would say is somebody who you can rely on, but it's also somebody you can have hold you accountable.
Yeah.
When I say hold you accountable, for example, I'm thinking of somebody like Zach. I wouldn't have some of my other friends hold me accountable in certain situations because they don't have the same beliefs as me.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think, in my opinion, I think there's a circle and there's a micro circle. In my micro circle, Zach would be probably like one of the only people in there. Zach and probably Pastor Kyle.
Yeah.
My inner micro circle would consist of probably 2 people, and it's the 2 people that if I need something or I need someone to help me in a situation, I'm probably going to go to them too. I don't want to go outside of my micro circle so that I'm getting opinions from people who don't have the same beliefs as me, or asking somebody who doesn't believe in God to pray for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Prayer is very, very powerful. And if your friends aren't praying for you, if you're not praying for your friends, I don't think you really have true friends in Christ.
Yeah, that's super facts. Stole that right off my notes, so I'll just scratch that off.
Did I really?
Yeah.
That's so good.
No, that's so good and so true. And honestly, like, first, I'm honored that you say that, because I think of Jalen the exact same way. Dude, I said in the last episode, my circle, my micro circle, I could fit in my pockets, like 1 and 2. There's, you, lucky for me, I got my wife Emily, and stepping in that adventure of marriage opens that door, and like you allow that person in. And
I would say Ashley too. My bad.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
She counts, obviously.
Goes without saying,
thinking. I was thinking of guys. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of guys.
And then for me too, I would say my friend Kirill, Caleb, who I was talking about a second ago. It took years to curate that list, and I went through a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And like, if any of my other friends are listening, like, I don't want any disrespect, no shade, nothing like that. But these are guys who have reached out to me for help, and I've reached out to for help and prayer, and I know that they're going to be there in my corner. My answer, I mean, from the Bible, Proverbs 18:24 says, "One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother." So again, just a guy who sticks closer than a brother. My little brother Logan too. I mean, that's my guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, sometimes I used to feel like, even when I first moved to Kansas City and start going to the church that we go to, shout out to Kingdom City Church, I felt like I needed 1,000 friends. I feel like I needed to be a part of this cool group of kids and do all this stuff. And then I realized after a little bit of time, like, no, this is not what I'm looking for. I had some people in our life who we were like, you just kind of wake up and you're like, yeah, I think they're just growing.
Yeah.
That's just really what it comes
Yeah.
down to. But yeah, the list doesn't need to be long. You don't need 5,000 friends. You just need 2 or 3. I mean, Jesus had like the 12 disciples, but he also had just like 3 guys that he really, really relied on, you know?
Right.
But yeah.
And that whole micro circle thing, I literally just thought of that, but it
Yeah.
made sense to me. Like, you know, you have a circle of friends where, in my opinion, a circle is probably no more than like 5 people.
Yeah.
But then you also have a smaller circle inside of that where it's like, okay, these are the people that I want to live life with. Because when you do life with certain people, you're going to get caught up in some of the stuff that goes on in their life too.
Yeah.
When you're thinking of a good friend, you know, somebody you can rely on, you got to realize they're going to go through stuff in life. You're going to go through stuff in life. When you go through those things,
Who's in your foxhole?
who's like really there with you? A verse that I had written down or had marked was 2 Corinthians 6:14. It says, "Don't team up with those who are unbelievers. How can righteous be a partner with wickedness? How can light live with darkness?" And so when I think of that verse, I think of, you know, the same people that are in my circle, not my micro circle, but my friend circle that I'm still doing life with. Are they believers? Do they have the same morals as me? Are they thinking the same way I do when I go to make a decision?
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, are they praying for me? Because if they're not, I can't continue to put myself in reliable situations with these people when it comes to doing life.
Yeah, for sure.
And that doesn't mean that I don't love them as much, because I do. If any of my friends happen to listen to this, I still love you guys to death.
Yeah.
But when it comes to growing, I think friendship and community is a lot of growing.
Yeah.
And when it comes to growing, if I can't look at you and say, I want to be like you, I probably shouldn't model my life or allow you in my life, deep into my life, if I can't look at you and say, you're somebody I want to be like.
So then I guess my next question, not to like keep loading you up with questions.
No, you're good.
So what is the difference between a micro circle and an inner circle and just your friends?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you got your friends who, and maybe I'll start by answering, but like you got your friends who you are friendly with. You maybe have some hobbies, see them at church even.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. You have something in common that is probably fleeting. Second is your inner circle, and those are people who you spend a lot of time with, you see regularly, you probably confide in and share things with. You're a little bit deeper. And then your micro circle, I would say, is people that you allow to affect your life. You know, I've got a good amount of people in my if we're I do really like that definition actually, but
like a micro circle. Yeah,
because I definitely don't want to leave out some people.
Right.
Some guys I really deeply care about, but and girls who I deeply care about, but just being very discerning and saying like you said, if they don't have the fruits in their life, then I can't allow them to affect the decisions that I make.
Yeah.
I can't allow them to influence me too much because they're not headed on the path that I want to be on. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's exactly what I kind of mean when I say like a micro circle and a circle. Because there's some friends, for example, like I said earlier, like Zach and my pastor, those are 2 people who are in my micro circle that I can go to for anything. But that doesn't mean that I don't have other friends who are like basically in that micro circle, but I just don't let them affect my life as much as I would Zach or my pastor.
Yeah. Almost like an irrefutable.
Yeah.
Yes, this guy is looking out for me.
Yeah. Right. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I mean, so if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, you know, maybe they started a little too deep. I mean, I guess the next thought is like, okay, I've raised my hand at church. I've decided to give my life over to Christ. I want to find some good people. What should I look for? Characteristic wise, what should I look for in a group of friends?
That's good. You want to start it or you want me to?
I'll start it.
Okay, yeah.
I'll probably just read straight from my notes because I put some time into this. I was just like praying on it, and you know, like I said, we come humbly and we try to bring the word of God and not just sit in this chair and just like start talking. You know, we really care about the lives of the people that are listening to this. But I just said the key to know here is that when you choose to follow Jesus, that you have to put your old ways of life in the past. Things that don't bring glory to the kingdom of God, you have to put in the past. Sometimes that involves people, which is really difficult. We see there is darkness and there's light in the world, so you got to seek the light, put the darkness away. As believers, we're completely different from non-believers. Just look at the book of Proverbs. It's full of wisdom. So again, my best advice for what should I look for in a group of friends is open up the Bible, even just Google, scripture about friends, and you'll find a lot of wisdom there. But open the book of Proverbs, and the book of Proverbs is chock full of wisdom, and you're just going to find line after line of what you should look for and the type of people to surround yourself with and who you allow into your life. The Bible isn't just some hodgepodge thing thrown together. There's a lot of intentionality behind it. And it's not a rule book. It's just like, hey, do you want to live the best life possible? If so, then here you go.
Right.
God bless us with that. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I would say looking for in a group of friends is people that match up with some scripture. And then also people that I have things in common with. Like, having a belief in Jesus is the most important thing, obviously.
Right.
But you and I can talk about 1,000 different things. It's not
sports,
just one.
Relationships. I mean, all sorts of different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, business. I mean, anything. We can just talk all day. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's good. A verse that I had written down actually that kind of answers your question as to like characteristics you should look for. Kind of relates to the question that I answered in the first episode, which was, what does it look like to be a follower of Christ? Which is, again, a heavy question. And I said sacrifice. This verse it actually exactly describes what characteristics you should look for in a friend and a follower of Christ. And it's John 15:13. It says, there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends.
Yeah.
What did Jesus do?
Yeah.
Laid down his life for not only friends, but for people that hated him. I was just watching The Passion of Christ the other day, and it's my first time seeing it. Man, I tell you what, that movie, this is like a different conversation for a different time, but I was asking Zach, I was like, man, how accurate do you think it really was? And, did people really hate Jesus that much? Like, that's crazy to think about. And Jesus still laid his life on the line for all the people that were literally beating him to death, y'all. Like, I think sometimes we take too light of Jesus's life, especially people who don't know Jesus, but they beat him to death until he said it is finished on the cross. And again, to circle back to the whole friend thing, somebody who's willing to give their life for yours. Like, there's a good amount of people in this, not a good amount, there's a small amount of people in this world I would say I would give my life for. And ultimately that's a problem. I should be able to say I should give my life to anyone. Or for anyone. And that's like a double-edged sword.
It is,
finding a good amount of hold on, I'm thinking now. That's a double-edged sword, man, because we're talking about finding good characteristics in a friend, somebody you would lay your life down for. But does that mean that you don't lay your life down for somebody else?
See, that's the difference. That I don't want us to get too caught up on that, because I think what we should be using this moment for is highlighting Jesus's life,
right? And
showing like how hard that is to just even fathom. We'll never be faced with that decision.
No,
but I mean, to answer your question, dude, no, like being
that's heavy, bro.
It's hard, and we can't sit here and say, yes, I would give my life to just anybody.
Because
that's hard. You have a lot to lose. You got a lot on the line, and Jesus' plan for his life was very, very, very significant. That's a deeper conversation.
It is, and I didn't really think about that until just now, because we're talking about characteristics in a good friend. That would be somebody that I would be like, you know what, I'm gonna lay my life down for that person. If Zach was being held at gunpoint and I had to jump in to intervene, I'd be like, I'm in there, 100%. So in that same breath, though, and again, this is a deeper conversation, but like
for another time,
maybe that's something we touch on at some point, because
no, I think that's so good. I feel like highlighting the sacrifice Jesus had is so important. Trying to empathize with that, I literally, like, my brain can't pull that apart right now. But I do know the feeling of, okay, there's a handful of people in my life who I would absolutely give my life for. And you might be listening to this and being like, I don't have anybody like that in my life. Or, you might be negotiating with yourself. I think this person might give their life for me. I might give my life for this person. And that's a difficult thing to find. It takes time. I mean, I've been walking with Christ since I was like 12 years old, I think is when I gave my life to Christ. It's been a slow journey, just like continuing progressing forward. And so far from that journey, I've collected maybe 4 people who I would like allow deeply into my life. But yeah, when you choose your friend circle too, another thing I'll say is you gotta have high standards. You know what I mean?
So good.
Sometimes we look for somebody that fits some of the criteria, and we're okay with that, and you're settling.
Yeah.
Don't settle.
Yeah.
Look for somebody who, and be willing to grow with people too, because some people take time. Like Caleb and I have been friends since we were in 6th grade, 7th grade, however long it's been. We've grown together and watched each other grow side by side, but we never once decided like, oh, I'm ahead of this guy, I'm just going to ditch him. There is a point where you have to like sit and grow with people. You know? Yeah. But raise your standards with the people you surround yourself with, man. There's good people out there. Find a church, find a community, seek God and pray.
Yeah.
He will bring those people in your life. And when he does, notice it and take heed of that. So, yeah.
That's a good point too, because when you said that, I was really thinking, there's some people out there who probably don't have other people that they're like, I can rely on this person. Yeah. I could count on this person to give their life for me. There's like, the more I think about it, there's some people who don't have family members that they could even think of like that. And so, again, like you said, I think it's just really important to get surrounded by people that you feel those characteristics, you feel that love, you feel that grace from the other or from the people that you're surrounding yourself with. But also, like you said, holding yourself accountable, holding yourself to a higher standard. That reminds me of the verse that we both had written down, which is Proverbs 17:17.
27:17?
Or 27:17. Go ahead, you got it.
Oh yeah, it just says iron sharpens iron and one man sharpens another. If they're dull, they can't sharpen you, and you can't sharpen them.
Yeah.
You're gonna dull yourself out. You're gonna burn out trying to do things that you're not capable of. It's something to heed and just like take note of. And it got me thinking kind of deep about that verse. I wrote. It's funny, we probably should have compared notes before we started, but we didn't. But we actually just walked in with the same scripture, which is really cool. And I was thinking about that iron sharpens iron, and I took this note that just says, when you see actual iron sharpen actual iron, there's sparks, there's friction, there's some aggression, but it's aggression that forms the other iron into a sharp piece that can cut through all the junk that Satan is trying to sell us. So when a friend corrects you, just know that it takes time So when a friend corrects you, just know that this is what it takes to continue to grow into the person God has called you to be. So I know I kind of fumbled over my words there a little bit, but
no, you're good.
That kind of segues us into the thought of like correction. I know we're kind of jumping all over the place here, but
no, you're good. I think to reiterate or to emphasize that verse, I had an example that I think is really good. And now that you kind of gave that summary again, I thought about it even more. So in college during football, we used to use that verse, not that verse, but because people hear that, iron sharpens iron, and they don't realize that they came from the Bible. And so we would say that in college during practice, and we'd be like, iron sharpens iron, and our coaches would say it to us all the time. And so what that meant though was ones against ones, meaning starter against starter. Your best player against your other best player. So if I'm a receiver, I'm going against the best corner every single time. If I'm an offensive tackle, I'm going against the best D end every time, just so I can perfect my craft. Iron sharpens iron. So really what you were just saying is, and it makes so much sense, because in football specifically, there's a lot of aggression. There's a lot of smothering each other. It's just a very collision type of sport, and the more that happens, the more you're having those collisions, the more you're practicing against the person that is supposed to make you better. Just the same way it happens in life, you start to see that you're getting better as a person, you're getting better as an athlete, you're getting better as a husband, you're getting better as a wife, no matter what situation you're put in, if you're surrounding yourself with people who are going to make you become a better person, you're going to see that same result in yourself, and you're going to become a better person. If you really think about it, it's it's actually, it's like a deep verse, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Like if I surround myself with people who are good people, I'll become a better person.
Yeah, sure.
But on the deeper surface, it's pretty.
Yeah, there's a lot of soil in that.
Yeah,
verse
there's a lot of
alone.
soil in it. Yeah.
We could talk about that one for an hour alone on itself. But yeah, that's a perfect example. You want to go higher, so you need to surround yourself with people that help push you higher, or you just stay where you're at.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with where you're at, you've grown content, and you don't want to seek God anymore or whatever it is, then maybe it's time for you to look up and start seeing the people you surround yourself with, and not pointing blame at them, but just understanding like there's a time and a place for everything. I mean, Paul talks about it, I think, in the book of Ecclesiastes, in the book of Ephesians. There's a time for this and a time for that. I think that's kind of the same with people. Some people just season in and out of your life, and God sends them for a part, and you should take care of them and love them and care for them just the same way that He would. But you also have to understand, I'm on a mission to go higher. I'm trying to seek after God. And if this person is not guiding me that way, then I cannot let them influence my decisions.
That's so good.
I cannot let them influence the type of man I'm becoming.
That's so good. That reminds me of the other verse. So I had Proverbs 17:17 also,
okay.
which is a friend is always loyal and a brother is born to help in time of need.
Yeah.
And just how you were talking about friends come and go at times, and certain friends may come into your life at a certain time. I think that's all God.
Yeah.
That's all God telling you that, hey, look at who I'm putting in your life right now.
Yeah.
And truly surround yourself with people who are going to be loyal to you, because I'm telling you right now, you need these people in your life.
Yeah. And some people come in for a short period of time. We've had friends that came into our life and helped us go a little bit higher, and maybe they're off on their journey, and it's not like I'm a better than you type thing.
Yeah.
They just come in for a season and then they leave, and you've been that person too. But God sends people into your life to help you go one way, and Satan's sending people in your life to go another way. So you got to understand, what is it that I'm looking for? This has got to be a person. We talked about it last year or last episode. One thing that I think we missed on was just the concept of love. A person that knows love. That type of love that Jesus had for us, that unconditional love. That's got to be another characteristic of a person that you allow into your life.
Yeah.
If they don't love you, and they're not praying for you, then I'm not saying they're no good for you, but raise your standards. Find some people.
So good. So good.
So where can I go to find people that fit this bill?
Church, baby.
Yes.
Church, baby. Yeah. Obviously, church is a big part of it. Man, I didn't. Truthfully, and I think this is kind of out there, but I know social media is huge. Social media is a place where a lot of people spend a lot of time. I would say this too. For example, if you go to my Instagram page, what does it say in my bio? Follower of Christ. I think if somebody is a true believer, a true follower, they're going to put that on display. And so where else can you find those people? If you're on social media and you see somebody who is preaching about Jesus and preaching about the word, find a way to intertwine your relationship with them. Whether you need to reach out to them, if they're in your community, I would say reach out to them for sure. If they're not, maybe you're just a long distance friend that you can rely on somebody to talk to about God, because there's a lot of people out there who maybe they don't like being, super close with somebody that they're not familiar with. But that's the point of social media. Reach out to people who have the same interests as you. Yeah,
no, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And that was the main reason I say that, though, is because church is an obvious, that's an obvious answer, because in order to follow Christ, you need to be in church. And I think that's a obvious, answer of where 100%. We should find, friends. But outside of that, bro, I think really social media, if you have people who are putting on display that they're followers of Christ, reach out.
Yeah, that's
we need to come together as not only just friends, but as a community.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I think now that's got me thinking too, because church is the easy answer. My answer would be church or through prayer. You seek God, you're gonna find him.
That's good.
Send people your way. Social media is a great opportunity. Obviously, you always no matter where you're at church, you meet somebody in life, whatever it is, always be discerning who you allow into your circle. But I will say that also in our life, one thing we talked about it last week too. You start to find out, oh, all these sports commentators, these athletes, all these people that are famous are Christians. Nobody knows because maybe they don't have it in their bio. Maybe they don't.
They don't put it on display.
They're
Yeah.
not telling anybody. No one's sharing the word. No one's giving God the glory to say, like, I don't want to be on a high horse or anything, but I sold a pair of Jordans the other day to this kid, and I pulled up in my car, and he's like, "Oh man, that's a really nice car. Like, how'd you get it?" And my first thought was like, "Oh, I worked hard." I was like, "I worked hard," and then I was like, "No. This probably sounds corny, and I'm kind of a corny guy, so I don't really care." But I was like, "Well, God has taken care of me. I'm not saying that He gave me this car, but God has taken care of me.
So good.
He's kept me under His wing. This car is just like one small thing, but everything under my life is covered in God's hands, and I'm just grateful for that." And then he opens up and he's like, "Yeah, man, I lost my mom 2 years ago. Things were really tough, but I just feel like there's something out there God's pulling on my heart. And ever since that moment, I just feel like I'm becoming a better man and all this other kind of stuff." So I got his phone number, added him on Facebook as friends. Who knows if it turns into anything, but that moment alone makes you know, okay, this person is a believer. This is the type of person I can reach out to. So all this to say, it's kind of a ramble. Don't go hammering the nail, telling everyone in the world I'm a Christian, especially if you're still trying to figure out what that means. But don't be scared to talk about Jesus, because then you're going to find other believers. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm a believer too." And you might be early on your path with Christ, and so are they. So now you have a brother or a sister in Christ just because you said something.
Yeah.
Pray for it. Talk about Jesus. Watch the people flock to you, especially if you've been hurt by church before. That happens to some people, but maybe you go to a restaurant and you have a bad burger. That's probably not the last time you're ever going to eat a burger. So you find a bad church, try another one. Go find a good church.
That's so good. So good. I love that.
Yeah.
You had a burger, it was a bad burger. Yeah. You're not going to never eat a burger again. That's so good.
Yeah.
I've never heard that analogy. That's good. Oh, man. I was going to say something off of that. Yeah, bro. I think putting it on display is huge.
Yeah,
I think that's a part of what God has called us to do.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be your voice. Look at the shirt you're wearing.
Yeah.
You know how many people I've talked to about Jesus at my church or at my gym because I wear a shirt that I'll wear one of these days, but it says "Swag, saved with amazing grace," and it's got a Bible verse on the back. People are like, "I love that shirt," and we start talking about Jesus.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And it gets people more comfortable because now you're in public. You're not in church, but you're talking about Jesus. So it's like, oh, this is normal. This is okay. I feel good about this.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, bro, those church doors shut, and you're like, well, I know all those people and they're Christians, but how do I speak about it in the world? Put something on your shirt, man. Like, and then
simple things to help start a conversation.
Yeah, and be careful when you do that. Like, don't go to the bar and start acting
Yeah.
Jesus on your back. But yeah,
that reminds me too of you talking about your car. Again, putting it on display, but I have a lot of people all the time. They always think it's funny, like, "Bro, help me get famous on social media, bro. I'm trying to be TikTok famous." And I'm always like, man. And I feel like the first thing I say every time I answer is, "I'm blessed.
Yeah,
like, God has blessed me."
Yeah,
because people don't understand. Like, a lot of people who don't know me deep down don't know my full story of like me trying to play in the NFL and being depressed for a year because I couldn't play football anymore. Like, there's more to my story than just some TikTok famous guy. And people don't. When you don't know the full story, you don't know that I was on my knees begging God for an opportunity, and I was on my knees begging God to bless me in a way that I couldn't imagine, and He did. Yeah. And so when I get people who say, "Oh, bro, how'd you get to where you are? It looks like your life's great. You're living life," and I'm like, "Bro, God, period. Like, I'm blessed beyond measures, bro." And I think it's so important to use your testimony. It's there's a saying on it about our testimony, but anyway, use your testimony like
it's your strongest weapon.
It's your testimony is your strongest weapon, and when you use it as a way to put on display that I'm not ashamed of being a follower of Christ, and I don't want you to be either. Yeah, I want you to obtain a relationship with me, get a relationship with me, so we can grow together as a community. Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you say that story about like people hitting you up because. There was a guy that I forgot about this guy actually, but a guy that used to go to our church. We hung out with him every once in a while, but
who are you about to say?
Anyway, we were
okay.
We were staying at church one day, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm like getting into all this stuff. Like, basically, how can I also become famous?" And I didn't know Jalen that well at this time. Like, we really weren't friends the first couple months. Two dudes, just whatever, alpha males,
being
whatever.
Dudes.
Yeah. And I heard what he said. He immediately gave the glory to God. We weren't even at church. We were at Chicken and Pickle. Like,
church,
So maybe whatever. But anyway, he says that, and I was just like, okay, maybe I can come around on this guy a little bit. So like soften me up. So I can say that is actually a true story.
Yeah.
And then also, yeah, like using whatever it is that you have maybe gotten in the world from the world, like the world says this is cool, get a PlayStation, whatever, and I'm playing it. Still using that as a conduit to somehow reach people through Christ. It's very abstract and it's a very weird thing, but like Big Brothers Big Sisters program, my little brother, we play video games sometimes, and I like share the word with him. Like we talk about things.
So good.
You know what I'm saying? And it's being intentional. Like you care about someone, so you want them to know the word, and we're not shoving it down their throat, but you're putting on display. And also, I think that's a big thing about this podcast too. Is a lot of people have questions maybe about how Jalen got to where he's at or whatever the case may be, or want to get to know more about him or whatever, or you're just seeking Christ and this is where you landed. We're grateful that you're here. Hopefully you're enjoying this, but this is also an opportunity for us to like put on display what God has done and,
and I like too earlier,
the goodness of it.
Before we even started, we were sitting here talking and Zach was like, yeah, man, if we post this podcast and, it doesn't get any views or whatever, he was like, even though that's not going to happen, it's still a space where we can allow God to come in.
Where two or more are gathered, yeah.
And grow our relationship with God and grow our friendship, just as we're talking about growing our community and being able to rely on each other and count on the fact that we've got love for one another.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so important. And again, that doesn't mean that you guys have to be like, oh, I'm starting a podcast. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be great too. Everybody should tell their story and be discipleships of Jesus. But at the end of the day, man, where you're able to sit down with somebody that you care about and love, all that can happen out of it is good.
Yeah. And iron sharpens iron. So, be prepared that maybe there's a day we sit in these chairs and we don't see eye to eye on something. And we do that sometimes.
Yeah.
This is our conversation that we have just regular. We just put mics in front of our face. And sometimes we look into what is it called? The third eye.
Third eye.
Yeah. Like Deadpool does. And like,
yeah.
And like talks to the people. But yeah, that's kind of like what we're doing right now. We just put mics in front of us. But yeah, so I guess next question is, why does it matter who I hang out with? I know we've kind of touched on it, but why does it matter?
I feel like we've touched on it a bunch already. Really just to emphasize kind of what we've said already is, and we said this in the first episode, I think, too. But you become, there's actually a quote on it, like you become like the 5 people you surround yourself with or something like that.
Yeah.
And when you look at it from a lens of a believer and a follower of Christ, you think, okay, say I do become like the 5 people I'm around and I'm surrounding myself around other believers. Great. But what are their what's their drive? What's their actual initiative? Are they believers because they want God to do good in their life, which you should expect, but are they doing it just because that's all they want, or are they truly seeking the kingdom? I think there was another thing I wanted to say about it. You can go ahead. I'll think about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Another person that, like, for me, came in and I would say is part of my deep inner circle is Paul. Paul Gidemeyer. He was one of the pastors of our church for a while. Him and his wife moved to Tennessee. Got a call with him tomorrow, but he's someone who has like iron sharpened iron.
Right.
I was a lot more dull, and he was strong enough to like sharpen me up. But allowing people like that into my life changed everything. It's funny. So him and I. Paul led prison ministry. He kicked off our prison ministry at our church and basically like handed me the reins. He was like, "Hey, can you take care of this now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And one joke I made was like, the first time we were about to go to the prison, I was like, he's like, "You ready?" And I was like, "Yeah, bro, I've been watching 60 Days In all week." And it was pretty funny, but I was watching 60 Days In again yesterday, and I see these people like, they go in and they want to do good. They want to help out the prison and find out how the drugs are getting in and help the people provide hope and all that other kind of stuff. But it's crazy. You see the looks and the expression, the looks and the expressions and their body language when they go into the prison versus a month in. They're defeated. They're deflated. They look down, because their environment has drugged them down to such a deep, deep negative level. I was watching an episode the other day, and this lady has a wife, and her wife comes to visit her like a month into her stay in prison. And she sees her wife, and like when you see her walk into the room, she just like doom and gloom, shoulders hunched over, stuff like that. She sees her wife, her face lightens up. You can literally see the blood rush to her face and the joy restore in her life. And it just goes to show you that, dude, the people that you are like physically around, whether it's work, school, whatever, your sports team, whatever it is, they have such a huge impact on your life. So be very discerning on who you surround yourself with. I know we keep kind of beating that dead horse, but physically, like,
it's true though.
yeah, the people
Yeah.
that you are in proximity with have a huge effect on you. So
Mm-hmm.
just take heed of that and be very discerning and have high standards for who you just like physically sit in the same room with too, you know?
Yeah. And I think another part of that too is don't think that you can stay around the same circle and influence others.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think that you're going to be so much stronger than everyone else that like their beliefs and their characteristics aren't going to rub off on you. Like,
Yeah.
because now we're talking about, now you're getting into the fact that your ego is way higher than it should be.
Yeah.
Because now if you're surrounding yourself around other people who aren't believers and you're like, oh, they're not going to influence me.
Yeah.
My characteristics and my relationship with God is it's too strong to be around people who are non-believers. I'm good.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about your ego, and that's a completely different story for a completely different time.
Yeah,
But
I mean, what is it? 1 Corinthians 15. Don't be misled.
Mm-hmm.
Bad company ruins good character, or something like that.
I'll pull it up.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Apostle Paul was speaking nothing but facts.
Yeah.
You know, did you find it?
Yep. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals.
Yeah.
I think there's another part to it though too.
So yeah, humility and recognizing like, man, the people that I surround myself with do have an effect on me. I look back at, dude, I got a new phone the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I looked back at old photos of who I was hanging out with and the things I was doing, and I was like, whoa, I was doing things that these people are into. And also you do play a role. That's another big thing, is you do play a role in the circle that you surround yourself with. So you have to bring that light every day and don't get sucked into the average. You can be a conduit for bringing people up higher, or you can just be a person who just levels a playing field and, you know, does what everyone else is doing, a sheep. You
Right.
know?
Yeah. And I think that's very important. Man, I keep losing my train of thought. I had something else I was going to say
Just
about that too.
Outside.
It's the snow.
Yeah.
It snowed a lot here.
Woke up in the middle of the, or not in the middle of the night this morning. We had like, I don't know, a couple feet of snow on the ground. Sleep shock.
But yeah, dude, all that to say, you know, surround yourself with people who have the same characteristics, the same morals, the same values, the same beliefs, the same goal, which is to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. Those people are very important in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I mean, right here, Romans 12:2. I actually typed this one up. It just says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind,
it's one of my
that
favorite
you
verses.
may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God," or that you may prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So notice in this part of 1 Corinthians, the church. So a little bit of background: the church in Corinth has become the environment that they're a part of. So I have right here, they developed false ideas about the resurrection. That's specifically what they're talking about here. The Corinthian church thought the same way that the pagans thought, the same way that the non-believing Jews thought about the resurrection, and it warped their minds. Their association led them astray. So that makes me think, how much of our life is off track simply because the company we keep. We know the truth as believers, and it's time to raise our standards on what we allow in. You know, what is that saying? Garbage in, garbage out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You let these people speak in. I know we're beating a dead horse here, but
Yeah.
it's just so important. Yeah.
Kind of to emphasize on that, we were talking about, this is in our Bible reading plan at church. We were talking about a little bit earlier, the Pharisees, Matthew 23:27. Actually, I'll start at 26. It says, "You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and the plate, that the outside also may be clean." 27 says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful, but within are full of dead people's bones and all uncleanness. So you also outwardly appear righteous to others, but within you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness." And I think that's important because those are the characteristics you should be avoiding from people that don't have those or that do have those characteristics, and be searching for the people who are clean on the inside and out.
Yeah, definitely. And man, that's tough because sometimes you feel like you know a person, and then you start to hang out with them. You're like, oh, this person is a good man, a good woman, and you get around them, and you're like, oh, maybe not. Maybe that's not the case. And that's important too, to like trial and error, figure out who is truly after God. And it's not someone that knows their Bible back and forth. It's not someone that doesn't have to be someone that can quote every piece of scripture, whatever it is.
Right.
But again, raise your standards. This is somebody who's praying for you, who's a prayer warrior, who's going to church, who cares about people around them, who just embodies the character of Christ. Look at, we talked about last week too, Exodus 34, character of God, someone that embodies the character of God too. That's kind of your benchmark for what you should look for. So I guess, I don't know if I've asked this question already, but what would be the benefits of finding like good people in your life?
That's good.
I guess like since you have decided to become a follower of Jesus, what are some of the benefits?
I feel like overall you just become a more like, I feel like you become a more loving person.
Yeah.
Like ultimately that same love that you share in that friendship is a love that you start to just feel and give to other people. It's almost like the Holy Spirit is working within you in that community that you've started or that friendship that you've started. And he's saying, hey, I'm going to go to work in your soul, in your heart, in your spirit, and allow my will to be done so that you can have that same grace and love for others just as I have for you.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of how I feel when I surround myself with like you or like people in church.
Yeah.
Especially like around like my really close friends, like you and Pastor Kyle. Like when I sit down and I like talk with you guys, I'm like, man,
encouraged.
like it's very encouraging. It gives you a lot of confidence in the fact that God's will be done on your life, and you can do it in a loving and graceful way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. For me, I mean, there's a lot. I got a little couple of things here, but I just have like, first things first is you just go higher. Dude, the things that you used to get worried about.
Oh, that's so good.
Anymore.
That's so good.
Because the people that you're around, they are way past that. They're not getting caught up in the trivialities of this world, all the drama, all the nonsense, all the late nights, all the whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like the amount of peace and joy, the fruits of the Spirit, that's what it is. You reap the fruits of the Spirit when you find these people. And it can be a journey. Don't be discouraged if it takes some time. Like I said, it took us years to get 3. You know what I'm saying? So, but when you find them, man, don't take them for granted. Respect them, love them, try to see eye to eye, open up your heart and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, the stuff that used to bother you, man, you start to reap the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, self-control, long-suffering, all that kind of stuff. And you're like, man, I feel like a different person. Joy, we talked about last week. You cannot touch my joy anymore. I'm good.
At
I got
all.
good people. I got good God. Like, I'm good. That's it, you know?
That's a really good point. Really, really good point. Going higher for sure.
Yeah.
Going
get
high.
corrected when you get corrected when you go on the wrong path. Because, Pastor Kyle said something so good. He said, if your friends aren't correcting you, they're not friends, they're fans. Like, that's Pastor Kyle, and he said that, and I was like, man, I don't need no fans in my life.
No.
Like, it's easy to say, yeah, go and buy that car, go and date that girl, go and sleep around, go and, I really want to do this thing. I really want to buy a new house. And you're like, hey, man, is that really the best decision? Like, financially, you got other things going on in your life. Someone that's like looking out for you, because then they save you from months of turmoil. Whereas a fan is just like, yeah, dude, it'll be so lit, da 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 da. And then you're boned, and you're like, man, I'm really upset that he didn't help correct me. And then, dude, even worse, that's another thing, bro. Is like, someone does correct you, and then you tell somebody that someone corrected you, and they're like, oh yeah, I thought about saying that, but I didn't. That's a fan. That's not a friend. That's not someone that cares about you, man.
Yeah,
you gotta raise your standards at some point. At some point, you gotta raise your standards. And I don't mean to get like animated.
No, that's so good.
About it, but
I can. That's a clip.
Yeah.
I'm about to clip that. That was good.
Snippet. But yeah, man, and just the years of heartache that you avoid, and the years of joy that are ahead of you. I turned to Jalen. I turned to a couple of my groomsmen, not all of them. No shots at anybody, but I turned to a couple of my groomsmen, my dad, Jalen, Pastor Kyle, people like that, and was like, I'm thinking about marrying Emily.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of the guys, I know if I would have asked, they would have been like, oh, you might second guess that, da-da-da. And I would have, Lord knows what happened. But the couple of men that were like, dude, yes, she's a good woman. We're praying for you. We love you. I asked Jalen to be a groomsman. He immediately was like, yeah, and I'm praying for you, bro. Yeah. And I was like, that's a brother. That's love. That's what I need in my life. Anything below that, you cannot affect my life. You know what I'm saying? But
that's good.
You reap the fruits of the Spirit, and you just like smile, and you're like, I'm good. You start caring about other people more. A lot of stuff. Yeah.
So good. So good. Going to higher places. Love. True, genuine love. When you have a good friendship, you will feel it. You'll know.
Oh, you'll know. Yeah. having someone to turn to when you're on the top of the mountain or on the bottom of the valley, not being alone. Dude, Satan wants you to be alone. He wants to get you alone. Isolation, that's when life is rough. I've been depressed. I had a long-standing relationship I was in before I met my wife, and I fell in depression for like a long time, bro. Like, I was hurt, not gonna lie. And I had a couple of friends who came in and at that time of my life were perfect, like just what I needed to help me go higher. And I'm just eternally grateful for those people, you know. Whereas if you don't have someone in your life, man, you go through those tough days, especially a fan, they're going to blow you down deeper down that dark path,
Oh, yeah.
bro. You know, and that's what a fan does. They just blow.
Yeah. They blow.
Yeah.
They blow.
But yeah,
That's good. That's funny too, because I was thinking about buying a Tesla, and I had so many of my like friends that were like,
do it.
"Get it, bro, go for it."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, I could have. It wouldn't have been like a huge deal, but like when you really sit and think, like, all right, Jalen, do you need a Tesla? No.
Yeah. The answer, yeah, right there.
Do you need a Tesla? No.
Yeah.
And all my other friends that like I asked like my financial advisor, he was like, dude, if you want to, you know, you can, but like really sit and think about it. And then I was like, okay. And I prayed, and I feel like if God, and this is, you know, again, another thing for another time, but I feel like if God doesn't like tell me yes to something, if I don't hear or see a definitive yes, the answer is always no.
Yeah.
And so I'm always like, okay, if God doesn't say yes, or if I don't hear anything, that's his way of saying no.
Yeah.
And so I was praying. I was like, yo, like, God, if I should get a new car, like, give me a sign. And my car works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. And I think God was like, yo, you're good.
Yeah.
You don't need that. You don't need that.
Yeah.
And I think friends are the same way.
For sure.
Again, and if they're not, then they're fans.
Yeah, and it's tough because it's like you can.
Yeah.
Everything. What does the Apostle Paul say? A lot of things are permissible, but not everything is good. You could buy a Tesla. I could buy a Tesla.
Yeah.
But is that the best use of your resource? Is that that's another topic too. Is you know, you get what you allow into your heart is who you become. Who you allow into your life is who you become. You start listening to certain music, you start buying certain things, that's who you become. You know what I'm saying? For better or worse. So understanding like where you put your resources, what's that verse? Where you put your treasure, that's where your heart is.
That's where, yep.
Yeah. Same thing with the people in your life. Same thing with the stuff of your life. That's all. The stuff, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's what something my wife and I are going through right now is this, like, the intersection of minimalism and Christianity. The stuff, dude. Man, that's another episode. Well, I think we're doing, relationships next?
Yeah,
relationships next.
We talked about community. Talked about friendship today.
One last thing I'll say too.
Yeah, go for it.
Is a deep person, like another benefit of having these people in your life is that it's a continuance of the faith of Jesus. Because you become world changers. I firmly believe that. Sometimes we go to Lansing and there's 50 guys in the room. Sometimes there's one guy in the room, like straight up. You just never know. And that's the prison that we go to and bring church to. But it can get discouraging when you walk in and see one guy. But when you think about it, Abraham was one guy, and now look, you know what I'm saying? One faithful man changed our lives.
And what did Jesus do?
Exactly.
Turn from the 99.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is like, doesn't take a big circle, man. One person has tons of generations behind them, but one person can do it for you. You know, start with one, be discerning who you allow in, raise your standards, and there's a lot that comes from this too. I mean, helping guide your life. What does that look like? Meeting regularly with your people and just setting the tone. That's something I feel like you and I should do too, is just like consult each other when something big is coming up. Like, dude, is this the right move for me? You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the future, bro.
Yeah, bro. So good. So we hit on community and friendship today. I think that was great. Good discussions, good discernment from God through it all. Again, we're so blessed for all of you guys that are going to be listening. Share it with a friend, would you? And like Zach said, we're going to touch on relationships next. So for those of you out there looking for a significant other, we've got some good stuff for you guys. As you guys know, Zach is married. I'm in a committed relationship with Ashley, and I don't know if she's here right now, but I can't.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say it on the podcast anyway. Not that I was going to say anything, but we may be getting married at some point. Ashley, quit getting ideas.
He's been going through his
Yeah, she's gonna be listening like, oh, he's gonna propose next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. But we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Again, next episode will be relationships, so make sure you guys are tuned in for that. And please do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. Make sure you guys come back every week for a new podcast. And we will see you guys in the next one. Peace, love, and God bless.